You got it, Anthony. South Campus here at the Fred Rust Ice Arena. They are looking for their second consecutive win against this Rhode Island team. They beat them 4-3 in overtime last night. The Blue Hens now sit at 14-11 on the season, taking on the 12-9-2 Rhode Island Rams. Very glad to have you with us here for our coverage on WVUD. Teddy Gelman with you. Joined for the first period tonight by play-by-play voice for the Division II team, James Witherite. First of all, James, thanks for being with us, and hopefully the Blue Hens can put up a similar effort what we saw last night, a very strong performance top to bottom from the first through the end of that game. 4-3, they won it in overtime, and a very complete team effort, something that this team has started to do a little bit more of as this season has progressed.
They were a little bit slow to get into a groove early in the season. It looks like they're really coming into their own. Kevin Felice, third-line center with the game-winning goal in overtime last night. Like you said, it was a complete team effort, and here they're looking for their third win over these Rhode Island Rams in 4 meetings total this season.
You mentioned Felice with the game-winning goal in overtime. Mike Niski, I would call him the facilitator from last night's game. 2 goals and assists, one of the fastest guys on the ice at all times, and this is the Delaware team that historically over the last couple seasons has been led by some very skilled players on the ice who can move the puck very quickly, and oftentimes they beat teams with speed. But this season, goaltending-wise, Stephen East has been very solid, and Stephen East is going to be back there again for his second game in just as many nights.
Don't be fooled by that 9-10 record, like you said. Great effort from Stephen last night, and as you mentioned before too, Mike Niski, a fast player, the catalyst for a lot of the offense for the Hens so far this season. 11 goals, but 21 assists, and a plus-minus of +2. He's been not necessarily the finisher for the tallies for the Hens, but oftentimes the playmaker, and with that speed, an absolute force to reckon with.
He had 2 goals yesterday and the assist, and Delaware came on top 4-3 in overtime with the Kevin Felice game-winning goal. The Blue Hens sat about 4 games over 500 in December before losing to Ohio in 2 consecutive games right before they went to December break. So they entered the holiday break with a 13-11 record, just 2 games over 500. But they came back last night, their first game out of break, with the 4-3 overtime win, bumping them up to 14-11 on the season. They've already faced Rhode Island 3 times this season. 1 time yesterday, of course, and then 2 times back in the 2017 calendar year, back in the fall. So the Blue Hens are very familiar with this team. Rhode Island 12-9-2 on the season. They're led by a couple players of interest, most notably Michael Pisola. He scored their first goal in yesterday's game. Pisola, one of their top goal scorers on the season, along with Jake Salisbury, who has 11 goals as well. So these are a couple players that we will be keeping an eye on tonight as the Blue Hens look for their second consecutive win out of the break. And of course, the Blue Hens will be playing a lot of hockey here at home over the next couple weeks. The January period is full of home games for this Blue Hens team, so a chance for them to get home cooking under head coach John Donahue and assistant coach Alex Rubin. We are about 6 minutes or so away from puck drop as they begin to announce the starting lines on the ice. James just mentioned it moments ago, but Stephen East will be the Blue Hens goaltender for the second consecutive night, and Stephen East sitting at 9-10 on the season, so a sub-500 winning percentage, but he's done a very solid job between the pipes. His save percentage just under 90, and he's averaging just over 3.5 goals on the season. On the other side, for the Rhode Island Rams, yesterday it was Ketzenberger, their freshman goalkeeper, JT Ketzenberger, who has been very solid this season. Tonight, though, it looks like Daniel De Silva will get the start. He is 0-2 on the year with a .925 save percentage, so obviously has not played as much as Ketzenberger has. But exciting matchup tonight. We're looking forward to it between the Blue Hens and the Rams from Rhode Island. We'll step aside for a brief break. We'll have starting lines and the opening puck drop after this. Here, it's Blue Hens Ice Hockey taking on Rhode Island on 91.3 WVUD.
Our top
cue back on. Can you hear me? You gotta have the cue on. Okay, bring me back in about a minute and a half. Uh-oh, that's not good. Delaware. Tonight we have coverage of Delaware Blue Hens ice hockey taking on the Rhode Island Rams for the second consecutive game. The Blue Hens came out victorious last night, 4-3, the final in overtime. Kevin Felice with the game-winning goal, and that is how the Blue Hens came out victorious in the 3-on-3 overtime session. Excited to have you with us here for our coverage on WVUD alongside James Witherite. I'm Teddy Gelman, Anthony Lemma producing in our studio. The Blue Hens, it will be Stephen East in goal, and on the other side it is goalkeeper Daniel De Silva in net for Rhode Island. Getting the start for the Blue Hens, Cole Zucker, along with Mike Niski, Chris Mazzella on the top line, and Mike Zadancic, Harrison Chuma, the top defensive pairing for the Blue Hens. Rhode Island takes it off the draw, and they bring it into the Delaware side, where Mike Zadancic closes in on it and taps it forward. Niski, 2 goals in yesterday's game. Onward to Zucker, gaining the zone. Zucker holding it and shooting one. He scores! Cole Zucker, 23 seconds in. Delaware leads it 1-0.
Got the breakout pass.
Yeah, Cole Zucker, a great effort to bring that puck forward, and he held on to it. He hesitated a little bit, and a bullet right into the top corner past Daniel De Silva. We briefly mentioned De Silva in the open. He is 0-2 on the season, a 2.42 goals against average, and a .925 save percentage. But that's an excellent way for the Blue Hens to start here this evening, following the 4-3 overtime win last night.
Zucker getting his first season now. Once again in the Rhode Island zone. It's batted out by the Rams' Philip Akermark up along the right side. Now they convert to a side in the corner.
And now Rhode Island continues to scrap forward with it, and we're going to get a whistle here as that puck was moved from the Rhode Island blue line into the Delaware side, and a stoppage at the 18:58 mark here of the first period. We saw in yesterday's game both teams had issues with penalties, and that is something that we'll be keeping an eye on through the early portion of this game. The Blue Hens were successful on a power play, and now they're going to jump to the penalty kill. We'll have a call on Kevin Felice, and it'll put the Rams on the power play.
A hooking minor against Felice. Marvin Michaels, goal of the right winger for Rhode Island's advance up the near board. That hooking minor takes Delaware to their first penalty kill. They're 79.8% with a man down so far this season.
Rhode Island settles the puck in the Delaware zone, and they bring it to the point. That's Ackermack. Now he'll bring it inside, works it to Jake Salisbury. Back to Ackermack at the point, switching course now. Rhode Island here on the power play. That's Eddie Cordero, switching it around, and a shot right to the belly of Stephen East off the stick of Evan Rankin, and East very poised, making that stop. 24 seconds gone by in the power play.
Rankin got some good mustard on that wrister from the bottom of the left circle, but as you mentioned, Stephen East in a good position to make the save, and he hangs on to it to avoid any second chance opportunities for the Rams to scratch it back.
A Cole Zucker goal 23 seconds into this game put Delaware on top 1-0, and now the Blue Hens on the penalty kill, and that one will be sent out briefly and then brought back in by Rhode Island, and they work it along the boards. Taking it there is their captain Ray Burdett, and Burdett will now move it to JP Monteverdi. Monteverdi on to Billy D'Amore at the point. It's the second unit for this Rams power play. Back to the point, D'Amore, a slap shot. It goes off the pads of East. He leaves a rebound, and they continue to scrap for it until it goes behind the cage. Shane Mullen reaches it and sends it all the way down, and Delaware clears.
Absolute bedlam in front of Stephen East there in the crease. His bodies came colliding from every which direction, but East able to make the pad save and deny any second chance opportunities. Now he clears it himself. The play continues in the Delaware zone.
Rhode Island able to keep it in. Looked like for a moment that one may have come out, but the Rams continue to hold on to it here. Another 37 seconds left on the power play. They work it inside, and taking a gander at that one was Monteverdi, but nothing to show for. Back to the point, Rhode Island comes here with another 28 on the power play. A bullet off the stick of Gravina at the point. That one goes wide, and Delaware brings it back to center ice with 19 seconds to go on the power play. 17-14 to go in this 1-0 game. Delaware leads it. A shorthanded opportunity from Docking, and that one goes into the glove of goalkeeper De Silva with 13 seconds on the power play.
So an offensive zone face-off now, way too shorthanded, hence great opportunity to make it 2-0. We'll see. Calls for the set play here off the draw as Brian Ostrander loses the face-off. That becomes a point.
And that should pretty much do it for the power play. Kevin Felice is going to leave the box in about 2 seconds, and Delaware kills off the first one. You mentioned it moments ago that their Blue Hens penalty kill just under 80% on the season, and the Rhode Island power play sitting just under 21%. And now we're back to even strength here. 16 minutes and 42 seconds to go in the first period. A Cole Zucker goal has Delaware on top 1-0. The Blue Hens with the 4-3 overtime win last night, and starting this game off on the right foot in the Rhode Island zone. The Rams collect it and look to send it on out, but strong pressure by the Delaware line. That's Ostrander, Korapi, and Jandoli, the fourth line, working back there tonight, and they continue to battle for it in the Rhode Island zone here. Several players tied up with it, and finally Rhode Island will move out of there with the puck. That's Anthony Gianelli, and he'll slowly maneuver his way into the Delaware zone. Now Gianelli goes to Matthew Kawash. Kawash scored a late goal in yesterday's game to tie us up at 3 apiece. Now Devin Jenny, the Delaware defenseman, is faced on the boards, and Rhode Island continue to tap on with it until Delaware gets it, and will move it on out of the zone up into the air, and we come back to center ice.
You talked briefly about the special teams. These two sides evenly matched in terms of power play and penalty kill. Delaware at 20%, Rhode Island at 20.9. On the PK, Delaware with a slight advantage at 79.8, pulling off that first penalty. Kevin Felice behind the University of Rhode Island command down successful 78.2% of the time.
Blue Hens with it back in the Rhode Island side now. 15 minutes and 22 to go here in the first period. 1-0. Delaware leads it. Coming out of the scrum is Cole Zucker to the point. They go to Chuma. A shot. That one was spoiled by De Silva. And now Rhode Island's defense works back with it, and they'll chop it along the boards, and back to center ice it comes, where Mike Zdancic will collect defensively for the Blue Hens.
He sends it across on the far side where Niski takes a check, loses the puck, and Rhode Island's able to dump it in behind the Delaware net. Their play develops, and the Rams try to generate an offense.
That's Jake Salisbury, and Salisbury fed it on to Pisola. Pisola's shot goes well wide, and they bring it back to Salisbury once again, just moments after Rhode Island brought their top line onto the ice after the line change. Now Pisola with it. He's faced by a couple Delaware defenders. Mike Zidancic is there looking to come out of there with the puck. Evan Rankin had it for a second, and now Delaware continuing to fight right by their own bench. 5 minutes and 30 seconds gone by here in the first period. 1-0, the Hens lead it. Rankin with it, gliding behind the Delaware cage. To the point they come. They bring it to Ian Turner, and Turner will lose it momentarily, get it back. This is a good stretch here by the Rhode Island offense, and they continue to hold on to it until Delaware gets it. That's Chris Mazzella slowly forward, and he'll send it back into the zone, and they'll go to the bench for a line change with 13:57 to go in this first period. After the line change, Pisola lays a hard hit on the boards, and now Delaware gets to it. That's Redgate with a slow chopper, and it comes right to Jack Zimmer, and Zimmer will lose it. Now back to center ice they work. Zimmer throwing it all the way back into the Rhode Island side. 13:34 to go. First period, Delaware steals it away here. That's Mike Redgate. Now Redgate looking behind the cage, and a close opportunity for the freshman Colin Emmerich, and nothing to come out of it though, as he was bullied by a couple Rhode Island defenders. This one is put up into the air and held by De Silva. We're going to step aside here at the 13:18 mark of the first period. Delaware leads Rhode Island 1-0. It's Blue Hens Ice Hockey on 91.3 WVUD. I should have told you that stopped. You could give me another one after that.
14-10-6.
So that
14-10-6 on media timeouts.
Yeah, give or take. Play another one. You heard me, right? Okay. Okay. I just turned myself down a little bit. All right, I'll turn it up a little bit. How much? All right, how much till we're back? Okay. Back here at the Fred Rust Ice Arena, Delaware leads Rhode Island 1-0 here. Just about 13 minutes to go here in this first period after the Cole Zucker goal at the 19:37 mark of the period. Delaware killed off a power play, James, and so far we've had a very fast-paced game, similarly to what we saw last night.
It's been a fast-paced, back-and-forth game. Both sides trying to crash at the point so far. Stevens and Denver, so the respective netminders manning their creases admirably, and there's another beautiful glove save by De Silva. That one a long range from the far side at the red line. Harrison would fire that one in from. He could have been at least 25 meters away from the cage.
Harrison Good was not dressed last night. He had the night off, but he's back in there tonight along with Andrew Marciniak. And defensively, Zidancic Chuma, number 1, Zimmer Marciniak, number 2. Here's another shot from the point, and that's good once again. And De Silva holds on to that one, and Harrison Good is on that third defensive pairing with Devin Jennings.
De Silva and the Rhode Island back-checking defensive core doing a great job to minimize those second opportunities. Delaware's going to have to snipe if they're going to beat De Silva.
11 minutes and 42 seconds to go, first period. Cole Zucker has the Hens up 1-0. Zucker, an early assist in yesterday's game. He assisted on the first goal for the Blue Hens yesterday, a Mike Niski quick blazing shot to get Delaware on the board. The first of 2 Niski goals in yesterday's game. The Blue Hens still with it now in the Rhode Island side. They scrap for it, and that's Dustin Rabinowitz, who is going to be bullied on the boards. That's a nice defensive effort. For the time being, it appeared by Ackermack, but it may result in a penalty. He was in a good position to defend there, James, but that's a bit of an unnecessary hit from the Rhode Island perspective. He railed him into the boards, and that's going to be a 2-minute minor penalty. The Blue Hens will go to the power play.
Hang on for the cross check after Rabiноwitz's stick was lifted in the mid-slot. That will continue in the near half wall. And that little bit of extra anguish on Rabinowitz after the fact will send Delaware to
Island shooting 20% on the power play this season, looking to get a second goal here in the first period. 11:05 to go in the opening frame. 1-0. Cole Zucker has the Hens on top, and Zucker with the puck right now. He'll bring it behind the Rhode Island cage to Chris Mazzella as Delaware sets up shop in the Rhode Island side. Now Mazzella holding it, throwing one. It was deflected on its way, and the Rams got a couple sticks on it, but the Blue Hens kept it in the cage for the time being until Rhode Island shimmies their way forwards, and that'll burn a couple seconds off the power play. Already 40 seconds gone by.
Mullen and Sarasota exchanging love taps in front of the crease after Mullen couldn't get the redirect in. Here comes Niski to neutralize left side, dumps it into the corner, and back around to the far corner of the Rhode Island. And it goes. Hens continue this power play halfway through.
Left on the doorstep, a shot from Mazzella, and Zucker looked to send the rebound home, and a great opportunity by Cole Zucker looking for his second goal, and it might have been stopped by De Silva or blocked down before it even reached him, but the Blue Hens with a quality opportunity on the power play. Now Niski skating quickly back into the Rhode Island side. He lost it, but it comes back to Jack Zimmer at the point, and now Zimmer will swing it to Redgate, where he is bottled up by Rhode Island, and that's a good defensive play there by Luke Vendetto, and they clear it back down. 90 seconds killed off on the Delaware power play.
Poke checked away once again. Thought we heard a whistle, not the case. We're down to the last 23 seconds of the aftermark cross-checking minor as Delaware tries to generate one last chance on this first power play for them with 9.5 to go in the first.
Dustin Rabinowitz brought it in, but immediately it was taken away, and Rhode Island pushes it all the way back down. Brian Ostrander is going to switch course to Devin Jenny. 3-2-1, and that is it for the minor penalty to Ackermark. Both teams unsuccessful in their first power plays of the game, but the Blue Hens lead in the most important category. That is the scoring category, and it's a Cole Zucker goal, only 23 seconds in, which has the Hens on top. Now 11 minutes gone by here in this opening frame. Devin Jenny working with it behind his own cage. Brian Ostrander there to assist. Instead, Mike Redgate comes to the rescue and slowly maneuvers his way forward, but that one is stolen away by Boudette. Inside they work it, the captain for the Rams holding on to it here, now to the middle. They swing it around to Monteverdi, now to the point. Gravina, a shot, and Stephen East holds it.
Guys from both sides looking for a dance partner. Zimmer taking exception to Gravina right in front of the blue paint, but none the worse for wear. We'll continue 5-on-5. A couple love taps, but nothing too severe. Defensively, face-off coming up for the Hens after that beauty of the glove save by East. He's made some key stops already in the first period.
He's been solid the entire season. A lot of pressure on him to come in here and have a great season after the senior leader Dylan Troiano graduated last season. But Stephen East has been very consistent between the pipes back there for the Blue Hens. Delaware's offense coming forward. That's Cam Perkowski. And now Greg Jandoli it is. Check that. And now Rhode Island comes forward back to the Delaware side. A quick developing possible 3-on-1. But they coughed it up before any legitimate opportunity came out of it. And now Andrew Karapi and Harrison Chuma fighting along the boards with a couple Rhode Island offensive players. That is Chuma getting pushed forwards by Jonathan Alfred, and they work with it. Finally, Drew Torrey successfully brings it forward to Greg Jandoli and back to center ice at the 7:45 mark here of the first period.
It's been a physical game so far, Teddy. We're on the Olympic rink here at the Fred Rush Arena, so 15 feet of additional width. That usually benefits the speed angle of this Blue Hens team, but it's been a physical game brought by the Rams, and the Delaware Blue Hens so far have matched in terms of physicality.
The Blue Hens clear their own blue line, and back to the center ice line they come. Andrew Karapi out there with Colin Emmerich, and Rhode Island's defense retreats. Now they come forward here quickly. That's Pisola. Pisola loses it, and Zdancic will tap it backwards to Emmerich. Colin Emmerich looks up, absorbs a hit, loses the puck, and Rhode Island led by Pisola, working. They're a little bit outnumbered here, Pisola that is, and he eventually loses the puck, and it comes back behind Stephen East here in this back and forth first period. Now under 7 minutes to play in this opening frame. Thanks for being with us. Along with James Witherite, I'm Teddy Gelman after the Blue Hens defeated Rhode Island 4-3 in overtime last night, enjoying a 1-0 advantage so far in this one.
That was the game-winning goal scorer, Kevin Felice, with the outlet pass to Zimmer, gaining the zone into the high slot, but he was stood up right at the Rhode Island blue line. Rams able to press play and a neutral ice as bodies converge at the near side, just above the Rhode Island line.
Felice there, and he'll watch Rhode Island slowly come forward across the red line and into the Delaware side. The Rams will switch up some players, and Andrew Marciniak will bring it backwards to Zimmer, and Zimmer eyes up, waiting for reinforcements. Now back to Marciniak, off the boards, plays it to Zucker. Zucker to Marciniak, they gain the zone. A pass across the way, they were looking for Redgate, couldn't quite reach him. Now the Rams are back the other way. A little bit of a tie-up by Matt Kawash, and he'll throw it back in behind Stephen East. Now they bring it in, a quick chance, and fortunate for the Blue Hens to watch that one sail high off the stick of Anthony Gianelli.
Looked like it caught maybe to padded Stephen East as well on its way through the crease. Lucky break there for the Hens to avoid the equalizer. Jack Zimmer will bring it back, and the Blue Hens, as you mentioned, lucky to avoid that one. That was a good chance by Gianelli. Delaware throws it back into the Rhode Island side, and Cole Zucker will play it. Absorbs a hit with Joseph Gravina, and now back to the red line. They work it. Rhode Island with a little bit of a slow pace, and now to Stephen East's glove, and East will tap it onward to Mike Niski, and Niski comes back to Harrison Good with 5 minutes to play here in this first period. Another fast-moving period like they played 3 of them yesterday. Delaware in the Rhode Island side here. It's left for Zucker, holding it, throwing it. That's off the pads of De Silva. Devin Jenny keeps it in the zone. They look for Zucker, and we've got a player down. That's De Silva, and De Silva might have got hit on that momentarily after he made the stop. As they'll sort this one out, we'll step aside. 4:51 to go first period. Delaware leading Rhode Island 1-0 on WVUD. Bring us back after this. Sorry? Bring us back after this. Did you see what happened over there? Because I did. Looked like he got his bell rung.
Okay. Yeah, good. Delaware leads Rhode Island 1-0. Cole Zucker the goal, and for Zucker this season continuing to put up a very good scoring effort. That was his 10th goal on the season. He's got 21 assists, and he's up there with Chris Mazzella and Mike Niski as the 3 top goal scorers on this team. And then Blue Hens had a power play chance. Rhode Island had a power play chance. Neither team successful there. A quick shot here from Rhode Island. That one came off the stick of Vendetto. It goes wide. Another opportunity sailed in from the point by Eddie Cordero. That goes wide as well. And we're back to center ice here. 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the first.
In the last 6 minutes or so, Rhode Island's been dominating in terms of territory after a back and forth middle of the first period. And Delaware, of course, with that first minute goal from Zucker to take the lead. And now they're back on the attack to play whistle dead as the Hens were ruled offside before reporting.
It's going to be a penalty on Rhode Island here. We saw Stephen East begin to go to the bench. He noticed it, and they were going to bring the extra attacker on. It'll be a 2-minute minor on Ray Burdett. It'll put the Hens back on the power play.
Burdett with the hooking infraction. The offside infraction, which spurred the whistle for the late penalty. But the Delaware Blue Hens nonetheless with the man up in an offensive face-off here for the second power play.
Cole Zucker out there, he wins the draw. He'll bring it to the point with Mike Zdancic, and now Zdancic goes to Niski. Back to Zdancic at the point. Delaware on the power play here. Under 4 minutes to go in the first. Zdancic a shot. It dribbles wide. Might have been deflected on the way and cleared back down.
Trickled through the low slot. Zucker right in front of the team. Couldn't get the redirect, and it escaped his control. Bounce back behind the Rhode Island team.
30 seconds rather gone by on this Blue Hens power play, and as they attempted to enter the zone, ruled offside with 3:35 to go in this first period. Cole Zucker's probably been the most influential Blue Hens offensive player so far in this game. He scored that early goal, and he's been active and involved on multiple scoring opportunities. He'll take the face-off here. He'll win it, and they bring it to Chris Mazzella, who glides his way into the zone. Mazzella will stop and look up. Now bring it back to the point with Zdancic, who goes quickly back to Mazzella. Now Mazzella holding on to it. Inside, they work it to Zucker. Oh, quick pass across the way to Niski, but an even better save by De Silva. And now Rhode Island short-handed, bringing it back with Gravina, and Gravina will lose it, but quite a save on the other end by De Silva, robbing Mullen on the doorstep.
Beautiful one-timer opportunity, but as we hear so often, Woodstock all the same. And there was another one from right on the doorstep, Chris Mazzella, off the blocker of De Silva, right in front of him.
Now Mike Niski looking to stuff. That one was spoiled. Here's a shot from Mazzella. Did not get any mustard on it. And this puck is going to rattle its way back to center ice. A Rhode Island player is down on the ground. That's Joseph Gravina. And then Shane Mullen and the goalie De Silva get into it a little bit. 42 seconds to go on this Delaware power play. Several high-quality scoring opportunities, but nothing to show for on the man advantage so far.
Looked to me like Mullen hacked Gravina right across the knees, and there's going to be quite a bit to sort out here as Mullen heads back to the sin bin. Guessing he took exception to contact in the slot area, so it was getting pretty chippy right in front of De Silva's crease.
Yeah, these two teams are very familiar, not afraid to throw a punch or chop somebody down. We've seen these kind of penalties, this kind of physicality, and James, something this Blue Hens team has had issues with over the past several seasons has been the unnecessary retaliation type penalties, something that they have limited a little bit over the last several weeks. It was a problem in the early portion of this season, but certainly a point of emphasis for head coach John Donahue, and Shane Mullen doing what he felt necessary in this moment, but it's going to earn him a trip to the box.
And possibly an extended one too. That one was quite egregious, if I'd say so myself. A lot of times you'll see maybe ticky-tacky infractions to begin with that may go uncalled, often do go uncalled, but it's the retaliation against that that's going to gain the attention and the ire of the officials, and being able to stay disciplined and stay within the bounds of the game. Certainly something that this Hens team still has to improve on, and it looks as though Mullen is going to be escorted to the dressing room.
Not without a couple words toward the Rhode Island bench, and the senior will hop his way into the Delaware locker room. We'll see him next period, but that'll be it for now as they sort out the rest of this skirmish. Delaware is still on the power play for another 42 seconds, and they're going to put another Rhode Island player into the penalty box. That will be Gravina, as you said, him tied up with Mullen back there, and then it was De Silva getting in, and from his perspective, likely defending Gravina after Mullen took the shot at him.
And Mullen had some words for lines from Mike Campbell on his way back to the dressing room, but it's going to stay 5-on-4. Delaware with the man advantage. As you mentioned, Joseph Gravina taking his seat as well for the altercation in front of the Rhode Island cage. We've got 2:46 to go in the first period. If you're just joining us on WPUD, Delaware with a 1-0 lead over the Rams of Rhode Island, looking to sweep the weekend series.
4-3 the final last night in overtime. Mike Niski had 2 goals. Shane Mullen had 1, and Kevin Felice had the game-winning goal in overtime, and that gave the Blue Hens the win to improve them to 14-11 on the season. A very critical stretch now through the end of January. A lot of games, a lot of home games, and a chance for this team to increase its chances for a high seed in the playoffs, which will ensue later in the month of February. And this Rhode Island team is not too shabby themselves. They're above 500, 12-9-2, play a very physical style, something that has been exemplified very well over the last couple periods, yesterday into today.
And it does seem as though Shane Mullen is going to be issued a major for his hand in the altercation. 5 minutes going up on the penalty clock here at Fred Rust Arena.
You know, from the look of it, I'm not sure if it was deserving of that, but oftentimes those types of plays back down in there. It may be something you say, it may be something you do. And Shane Mullen, the recipient of some bad luck down there after his actions. A 5-minute major penalty. He's gone for the rest of this period, and the Delaware power play is essentially finished. We're playing some 4-on-4 hockey now. 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the period. 22 seconds until Rhode Island goes on the power play. Right now, Delaware has it in the Rhode Island side. It's Mike Redgate holding onto it with the backhand, and Redgate's going to swing it around to Felice. Felice to Redgate once again. Swarming in is Jack Zimmer, tossing one toward the cage. It's knocked away by De Silva. Coming out of the box right now is Ray Budette, and now Rhode Island on the power play for 4 minutes and 15 seconds. If they do not score, this will carry over to the second period.
And even if they do score, it will carry over due to the major penalty on Shane Mullen. I learned from public address announcer Bill Williams it was 2 minutes for slashing, 5 minutes for kicking, and a game disqualification. So Shane Mullen, the leading goal scorer for the Hens this season, has already been ordered to call it a night.
It's a big loss in the first period. He scored a goal yesterday. He's physical. He's inside. He's that kind of guy that can screen in front of the cage. A great contributor offensively, but they'll be playing without him. Rhode Island in the Delaware zone here on the power play. They throw one toward the cage. That off the stick of Cordero. Spoiled on its way, but the Rams retain possession. They hold on to it with Monteverde. A shot. Stephen East shrugs it aside. It lands and handled by Rhode Island once again. They circle back and swivel it to Vendetto. Vendetto will leave it on the doorstep for Monteverde, and it's going to be handled by Andrew Marciniak, but he is not able to clear it out. Back to the point they come. Cordero, a shot. He scores! Eddie Cordero, a bullet from the point. We're tied with 56 seconds left in the first.
Cordero from the high slot goes bar down to beat Stephen East, glove side over his left shoulder. 3:11 to go. Rams power play. It is a major, so they can score at will while 5 on 4. It's a tie game with 56 seconds left here in the first period.
It's a big penalty plus another one, as you mentioned it, for Shane Mullen to take, putting his team in a man-down position for an extended period of time, and Rhode Island takes advantage of it with the goal by Eddie Cordero on the power play. 1-1 is the score. 3 minutes left on the power play, only 42 seconds left in the first period. That will carry over to the second period, as you mentioned, James. Now Rhode Island setting up shop in the Delaware side with 32 on the first period clock. Here's a shot inside that goes high off the stick of Rankin. They attempt to bring it back to the point with Alexander Lund, but he cannot keep it in the zone. They're back to the Rhode Island side with 15 seconds to go here in the first period. Rhode Island holding on to the puck now. They will slowly come forward and now go into the Delaware side. Strong defense by Harrison Good to body on the boards with 6 seconds to go in the period. It's handled by Pisola to the point. They work it with Billy Dittemore, and that will do it. They do not get a shot off in time. 1-1 is the score, James. We saw the Blue Hens get off to a nice start, but a bit of an iffy conclusion with that Mullen skirmish plus a couple penalties, allowing the Rams to tie this one up as we go into the break.
And they'll head to the second period with the long change with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left on the man advantage. And off that Eddie Cordero third goal of the season being the equalizer late in the first period. The momentum certainly in their favor. Delaware with an uphill battle ahead as they go to the dressing rooms after the first period, but the task certainly is not an insurmountable one.
Rhode Island 12-9-2 on the season. Delaware 14-11. The Blue Hens looking to sweep the back-to-back set over Rhode Island after the 4-3 overtime win last night. After 20 minutes, we're tied at 1. We go into the studio now where producer Anthony Lemma has our intermission report. You're listening to Blue Hens Ice Hockey on 91.3 WVUD, the voice of the Blue Hens. Anthony, go till 6:18. Okay? All right, I'll talk to you in a few. Okay, bye. All right. Good stuff.
First period.
It was a fun one. I gotta turn this off.
You're calling primarily for radio, yeah?
Thank you very much, Anthony. We are ready for the second period of action in just a few moments as the Blue Hens skate back onto the ice right now, tied 1-1 with Rhode Island after one period of play. A period in which Delaware got an early start with a goal by Cole Zucker just 23 seconds into the matchup, but then Delaware started to get involved in a couple issues with penalties later on in the period. The Blue Hens gave up a regular 2-minute minor penalty. They killed that one off. So did Rhode Island. But then a skirmish toward the end of the first period involving Shane Mullen, in which Mullen was going to be called for a 2-minute minor penalty, but then an additional major penalty and an ejection for kicking was issued. So Shane Mullen is officially out of this game, and that's a big loss for the Blue Hens considering how Mullen sits offensively. He's got 17 goals on the season, which is best for this team. So that'll be an adjustment the Blue Hens have to make without him. And they're going to start this second period off on the penalty kill because major penalties do carry over into the next period if they're not completely finished during a period in which they were originally issued. So Delaware will start this frame with 4 players on the ice. Rhode Island starts with 5, and we're ready to go here for the second period of play. It is period number 5, I guess number 6 if you count the overtime session yesterday as a period in which these two teams have played over the last 24 hours. Delaware victorious last night 4-3 in overtime. Rhode Island, a pesky team though, and a team that's come out here tonight and put up another very strong effort, and it wouldn't be surprising at all to see this one go the distance again tonight. Teddy Gellman with you for the action. Anthony Lemma producing in studio. Here in the second period, Rhode Island moving right to left, and now they have it in the Delaware zone, holding it and bringing it to the point, trying to work it to their point man Cordero, who scored this first goal for this team at the 56-second mark of the first period. Cordero loses it, and they're back to center ice. Now at the left wing, Rhode Island brings it inside, and they set up shop just behind the Delaware cage. Strong defense by Harrison Chuma. Chuma pops it up into the air behind Stephen East, and now Mike Pisola comes up with it for Rhode Island. Pisola looking up and surveying his options. He brings it to the point. Rhode Island on the power play. Pisola looking to get it back to Cordero, and Cordero holds it. Now 1 minute remaining here on the 5-minute major penalty to Shane Mullen that transferred over from the first period. This pass is intercepted by Kevin Felice, and Felice skating left to right, moving into the Rhode Island side. He'll swivel around and wait for help as most of his teammates had gone to the bench for a line change. We got a couple players falling to the ground in the middle of the ice. Greg Giandoli was tripped up there by Evan Rankin, but no penalty called. Giandoli skates to the bench for a line change, and now Rhode Island takes it away. That's JP Monteverdi with 27 seconds remaining on the Rhode Island power play. The Rams gain the zone, hold on to the puck. Strong defense by Jack Zimmer and Andrew Marciniak. Back for the Blue Hens. Zimmer comes up with the puck, tries to clear it out, and is unable to do so. It comes back to Joseph Gravina at the point. Gravina, a slap shot. It's deflected off of Andrew Korapi and out of play with 9 seconds remaining in the first period, in the power play for Rhode Island. With 2 minutes and 6 seconds gone by in the second period, tied at 1. It'll be an offensive zone draw for Rhode Island, moving right to left here in this second period. The face-off to be taken by Jake Salisbury. He wins it and brings it back to Joseph Gravina at the point. A wrister is spoiled as it went toward the cage, and that is it for the power play. Drew Torrey, who is serving the Mullen penalty, comes out of the box, and Delaware thrashing forwards now. We're back to even strength here. 2 minutes and 30 seconds gone by in this second period. We're tied at 1. Cole Zucker for the Blue Hens, Eddie Cordero for the Rams, the 2 goal scorers in this game. A quick chance by the Rams, backed by Stephen East, and East handles that one. The tapping play made by Luke Vendetto, and he's standing tall, able to make the stop there. In that first period, shots on goal, 9-7 in favor for the Blue Hens. Pretty indicative of the closely matched period that it was. Chris Mazzella in his own zone, working for the puck, faced by a couple Rhode Island defenders. The Rams circling for the puck. Cole Zucker beats him to it. Zucker behind his own cage, now skating forwards. Cole Zucker moving left to right into the Rhode Island zone. Zucker still with it, shooting one, and it goes wide. A nice effort by Zucker. It comes back to the point now. Delaware with it in the Rhode Island zone. That's Mazzella, a shot, it's blocked down. Mazzella, another shot, he didn't get anything on that one. It comes to Mike Niski, who rattles around. The Blue Hens still have it in the Rhode Island zone here. Niski skating towards the right slot, and now behind the Rhode Island cage, Daniel De Silva, the goaltender for tonight's matchup. Chris Mazzella with it to the point he comes to Devin Jenny. Now Jenny tosses it toward Niski, but it was blocked before it got there by Rhode Island, and they clear it all the way back to the Delaware side, and we get an offsides whistle there. 16 minutes, 19 seconds to go second period. 1-1 is the score. Back in a moment on WVUD. How long is this? Give me another. Okay. I know, it's a lot. Yeah. We brought it. Continuing action here in the second period at the Fred Russ Ice Arena. Delaware and Rhode Island are tied at 1. 2 first period goals, one by Cole Zucker for Delaware and one by Eddie Cordero for Rhode Island. That is where we stand. Both teams have had chances on the power play and have not hit, with the exception of a late power play goal in the first period by Cordero. Delaware with the puck now in the Rhode Island zone. It's flipped up into the air by the Rhode Island defense, and Delaware scraps back to it. That's Dustin Rabinowitz, who falls down and taps it toward the Rhode Island cage. It's knocked away there, and the Blue Hens continue to fight for it right by their own bench on the near boards here, as Delaware works left to right here in the second period. Brian Ostrander comes up with the puck right behind the Rhode Island cage. He'll switch it backwards with his backhand to Mike Redgate, and Kevin Felice will absorb a hit and play it onwards there, and the puck lands right by Redgate. Felice comes up with it once again as Delaware continues pressure in the Rhode Island zone here. Redgate holding it again. 14:47 to go here, first period. Rhode Island out of their own zone here, now moving right to left into the Delaware side. A offsides whistle there. A little bit too quick in ahead of the play was Daniel Caruso, and that'll force him back to the neutral zone. It's been an extremely even game, an extremely even back-to-back set if you consider what happened yesterday. 4-3, Delaware the winner in overtime. Kevin Felice, the game-winning goal. It brought Delaware to a 14-11 record on the season. The Blue Hens very good at home this season as well. 7-2 at home and 7-9 on the road. So equaling their total in less games at home, equaling their win total, I should say. Back to the action here. Rhode Island with the puck in the neutral zone, and now they glide into the Delaware side. A quick shot that is shrugged aside by Stephen East. That was a good look by Pisola, but Stephen East, no worries there, easily making the stop. Now Jack Zimmer riding forwards on the right wing, and he is railed into the boards. Rhode Island, a quick chance back the other way. Here they come. It's Pisola into the zone, a shot, and it's knocked away with the glove of Stephen East. Pisola with a good opportunity there there. And now they work it inside. Pisola, another opportunity. He just missed that one. It was a feed coming from the point intended for Pisola to tap it in. He got chopped down. There's a delayed penalty call coming up. It will be on Delaware, and Rhode Island will be on the power play, but they still have the puck here on the delayed penalty. Shooting one in from the point. They bring it back now. They bring their goalie De Silva to the bench for an extra attacker, and before he gets there, they will get a whistle as the puck was last touched by the Blue Hens. So a nice stretch by one of their top players, Mike Pisola. And Pisola on the season, he's got 8 goals and 14 assists to lead his team in points. And he's been a very highly seen player through yesterday's game and today. He draws a penalty. It's a 2-minute minor hooking call to Andrew Marciniak, and Rhode Island goes to the power play here with 13:15 to go in the second period. We are tied at 1. To the point, Rhode Island works it to Joseph Gravina. Now Gravina holds on to the puck at the point. They have it in the Delaware zone on the power play. Gravina throws it toward the middle. An opportunity to stuff by Anthony Gianelli, and Stephen East made the stop. But Delaware cannot clear so quickly. Now Matt Kawash brings it back to the point with Gravina. Gravina, a shot. That one is shrugged aside by Stephen East. He's already made a couple stops on this power play, and Mike Niski clears it, but not out. Rhode Island continuing to have it in the Delaware zone here. Now they have it behind the Delaware cage with 45 seconds gone by on the Blue Hens power play. 12:30 to go in the second period. We're tied at 1. The Rams set it up at the point with Gravina. Now Gravina over to his defensive partner. That is Billy D'Amour. And D'Amour slaps one in. It goes wide. Back to D'Amour again. Now they bring it over to Gravina, who holds, who looks, with 55 on the power play. They bring it over, and now they bring it inside, and an opportunity by Kawash, and he pushes it just wide. The Rams continuing pressure here on the power play with Gravina sliding to the right to get a better angle to shoot. He fires and it goes wide. Harrison Good looked to touch it, but instead the Rams get to it first. They bring it around. That's Kawash. A shot. That goes well wide. Looking to stuff on the doorstep. They cannot do so, and the Blue Hens clear it all the way back to the Rhode Island side with 21 seconds left on the Rams power play. Rhode Island quickly brings it back to the Delaware side. A nice swivel by Jake Salisbury. Salisbury behind the Delaware cage. Now back to the point. They work it with Eddie Cordero. 5 seconds left on the power play before Marciniak comes out of the box. They bring it under the goal mouth, and Harrison Good absorbs a hit, but he is outnumbered by Rhode Island players. Coming up with it is Evan Rankin. Rankin back to the point, but it's stolen away, and here comes Mike Niski back to the Rhode Island side. Niski loses the puck, but if anything, changes momentum momentarily as the Blue Hens have it in the Rhode Island side. We are back to even strength here with 10 minutes and 52 seconds to go in this second period. An icing call will give us a chance to step aside. 1-1 is the score. Back in a moment on 91.3 WVUG. How much is this? Give me an ID after this. Okay. Just over halfway through this second period, and the Blue Hens and Rhode Island Rams remain tied at 1 after 2 first period goals. One very early goal, only 23 seconds into the matchup, by Cole Zucker, put the Hens on top. A late power play goal by Rhode Island tied it up. Shane Mullen, Delaware's top goal scorer this season, has been ejected for kicking, which ensued late in the first period after he thought he was held, but always the retaliation is who gets, the retaliator is who gets penalized. And that's what happens with Mullen. He's ejected So far through the second period, options on both sides, but nobody has struck. The goaltenders in this game have been very strong. For the Blue Hens, Stephen East. For the Rams, Daniel De Silva. Delaware moving left to right, Rhode Island moving right to left. The Blue Hens have it in the Rhode Island offensive zone here. It'll be an offensive zone draw. Ethan Docking to take it for the Blue Hens. They all get tied up following the draw, and then Docking comes up with it. He rumbles his way behind the Rhode Island cage to the point. They work it to Marciniak. Marciniak tosses it to Brian Ostrander, and Ostrander works it to Dustin Rabinowitz. Rabinowitz working with his backhand, absorbing a hard hit there, and they continue to fight for it, both Marciniak and Rabinowitz, right behind the Rhode Island cage. And now the Rhode Island defenders will send it onwards, and that one touched by the Rams. Doing the honors is Jonathan Alsred, and he sends it all the way back to the Delaware side with 9 minutes and 21 seconds to go here in the second period. Ostrander back to the Rhode Island side. A good pass to Docking, and he sends it wide. A good opportunity there as the Blue Hens final line looking to connect on a couple of plays here in this second period. They'll switch up the lines, and the Blue Hens will send it all the way back down. This one is not icing. It was last touched by Andrew Kourapi. Rhode Island now moving right to left, up the right wing with Joseph Gravina into the Delaware side. He is railed on the boards, and the Blue Hens come up with the puck. They bring it to Mike Redgate, and Redgate gets it taken away by Ray Brudette. And now Brudette holding one and shooting one. And it is handled by the glove of Stephen East. He leaves a rebound, but the Blue Hens there to clean up the mess. Back to center ice we go here with 8:32 to go in the second period, tied at 1, Delaware and Rhode Island. Rhode Island back into the Delaware zone here on the left wing, right by their own bench. The Rams bring it to the point, but that pass was too hot to handle by Gravina, and now it is Colin Emmerich who slowly finagles his way to the Delaware side, but he is out-muscled on the boards, and Emmerich is going to need to receive reinforcements by his teammates. Instead, it is Rhode Island coming up with the puck until Mike Redgate comes and saves the day. Redgate back into the Delaware zone, looking for help. He gets it to Devin Jenny, and now Jenny is hit on the boards. Rhode Island is going to get it momentarily until Devin Jenny skates back to the Rhode Island side, now thrashes behind the Rhode Island cage. That is Devin Jenny, feeds it to Mike Redgate. Redgate leaving it on the doorstep. Nobody was home, and we get a whistle with 7:42 to go in the second period. It's a nice job by Mike Redgate. We got a broken stick in the Delaware zone, or in the Rhode Island zone rather. They will sort that out, get some fresh sticks onto the ice, and we're ready to begin once again. It's an offensive zone draw for the Blue Hens. Delaware wins it. Andrew Kourapi with a good little move, and he feeds it back to Drew Torrey, who shot one, and that puck was handled by Daniel De Silva. And once again, it'll lead us to another offensive zone draw from the left circle for the Blue Hens. With 7:37 to go in the second period. Another great game. If you're just joining us, Teddy Gelman with you for the action. Anthony Lemma in studio. Delaware 14-11 on the season. They beat this very same Rhode Island team 4-3 last night in overtime. Here's a turnover. Drew Torrey takes it away in the Rhode Island zone, and he shoots one that's blocked, and it goes well wide. And now the puck back to center ice and into the Rhode Island zone. A good opportunity by Matt Kawash, but an even better defensive play by Mike Zdancic to stop them from getting any kind of look, as Rhode Island did have numbers in the Delaware side. Now Harrison Chuma gliding forward to the Rhode Island side, throwing one toward the cage. A rebound left by De Silva. Up into the air it comes, and it's Drew Torrey looking to fight for it. Andrew Kourapi comes up with it and puts a good hit on Eddie Cordero right behind the Rhode Island goal. Greg Giandoli there as well, but Cordero has enough teammates there to outshadow the effort there by the Blue Hens, and this one is sent back all the way down to the Delaware side as Stephen East calls out instructions. It's Cole Zucker across his own blue line, moving left to right here. Zucker loses it for the time being, but then Mike Zidancic gets it back, and Zidancic, through a maze of players, successfully navigated his way through until he lost the puck, now skates to the bench for the line change. They go all the way back to the Delaware side, and Stephen East cleared it up into the rafters, which gives us another chance to take a breath with 6:16 to go in the second period. 1-1 is the score. It'll be an offensive zone draw for Rhode Island here at the left circle. Rhode Island wins the draw. They bring it back to the point with Max St. Xavier, a shot that goes well wide. Back to the point it comes after the hefty rebound. And it's Mike Niski there defensively along with Jack Zimmer, but an even better offensive play to squirm around that by Jonathan Alsfeld, and Alsfeld throws one to the cage, and Stephen East has it once again. After the ejection from Shane Mullen in that first period, only that power play carrying over to the second period. Not a lot of man advantages so far in this game. Here's a stretch pass to Chris Mazzella into the Rhode Island zone, and Mazzella shot one that was blocked down. Back to center ice, they work it. Defensively for Rhode Island, that's Philip Ackermark, and Ackermark will toss it onward to his teammates. Daniel Caruso knifing his way into the Delaware side, moving right to left. They gain the zone and now work it behind the Delaware cage. Closing in on the puck there is Andrew Marciniak, bringing it forwards now. Delaware skating forward on the left wing. All the way in is Devin Jenny, leaving it for Jack Zimmer. A shot, he scores! Jack Zimmer gives Delaware the lead. It's 2-1. Nice take by Devin Jenny all the way from the left side of the ice to the right side, skating up the left boards. And Devin Jenny originally shot the puck. It was blocked down, but Delaware had the momentum after the line change, and Jack Zimmer there to clean up the mess. A great shot, and for Jack Zimmer, that is his first goal with the Blue Hens. He already had an assist earlier this season, but for the forward, that's his first of the season, and more importantly, it gives Delaware a 2-1 advantage over a tough Rhode Island team. Yesterday, Delaware trailed 2-0, came back, took a 3-2 lead before Rhode Island pushed it into overtime, and then Delaware won it in the extra session, courtesy of Kevin Felice. And the Blue Hens back on top here with 4 minutes and 52 seconds to go in this second period. Cole Zucker with the first goal, Eddie Cordero for Rhode Island, and Jack Zimmer giving Delaware the 2-1 advantage. Rhode Island's defense right by their own cage here, looking to bring it on out. Brian Ostrander took it away, and he floats it to Dustin Rabinowitz near the left circle. Now Ostrander is going to be hit hard on the boards. Evan Rankin there doing the honors. A bunch of players tied up now. It's Docking and Ostrander along with Rabinowitz right by the right circle in the Rhode Island zone. Delaware has it. Now the Rams take it away. They flip it up into the air and back into the Delaware side. With 4 minutes to go here in this second period, 2-1. Delaware leads it. Thanks for being with us for the coverage on WVUD, the second game of a back-to-back set between the Blue Hens and the Rams. In the Rhode Island zone, they flip it up in the air. Evan Rankin throws it all the way back in. This one should go for an icing, and it does. 3:43 to go, second period. Back for the conclusion of the second period. Delaware leads it 2-1. We're back after this on 91.3 WVUD. Okay, bring me back after this. How do you do that? Okay, I'll watch it. I'll watch it at intermission. Okay. Rhode Island takes a timeout with 3:43 to go in this second period, and the Blue Hens with the 2-1 lead. Teddy Gelman with you for the action. Anthony Lemma producing in our studio. If you are just joining us, you missed a good start of the game, but a finish that promises to be just as good, if not better, to the early portion of this game between two teams that know each other very well. They've already faced multiple times this season, most recently last night when Delaware trailed 2-0 after the first period. Goals from Mike Pisola and Sandy Gray for Rhode Island gave the Rams a lead, but then the Blue Hens stormed back in the second period and in the third period. Mike Niski, Shane Mullen, and Mike Niski, the 3 goal scorers, before Matt Kawash pushed that game into overtime, and then Kevin Felice won it in the extra session. Not quite as high scoring, but there still is another period plus 3 minutes and change here in the second period for the teams to potentially equal that scoring total of 7 from last night. Back on the ice after the timeout, it's an offensive zone draw from the right circle for the Blue Hens, and Rhode Island wins it, and they clear it off the or down the ice. And then they work it back to center ice. Both teams do with 3:30 to go in the second period. It's Mike Zidancic tossing it forwards. Delaware working left to right here. They move it into the Rhode Island zone for the time being, but then the Rams take it back and they quickly move into the Delaware side, throwing one toward the cage there, and then laying a very hard hit on the board was Ray Burdett, and whatever happened there is going to result in a penalty. Burdett took a shot that may have just been a pass to himself, although originally looked like a shot, and then he ended up laying a very hard hit on the boards, and it's going to earn him a trip to the penalty box. So a great glimpse of what Ray Burdett could have done with that play as he drove forward, chip and chase, but an unnecessary boarding call. It's the second one of the game for Rhode Island. We saw Philip Ackermack do one of these boarding calls almost in the same exact spot on the ice, right by the Delaware cage, just south of the left circle. And for the second time this game, Delaware is going to go back to the power play after that penalty, and it's only the second power play, or the third power play rather, for the Blue Hens in this game. Delaware leads it 2-1 with 3 minutes to go in the period, and a 2-minute minor penalty to Burdett for boarding gives Delaware the man advantage. They push it into the Rhode Island zone here, Delaware working left to right. Mike Niski searching for help with Cole Zucker, Kevin Felice, and Chris Mazzella. Now Niski comes out of there with it. Mike Niski right by the right circle to Zidancic. Now back to Niski. Looked to pass it across the ice. It was blocked down, and then Niski gets it back. 40 seconds gone by on the Delaware power play. Niski skating around with it. Now Zidancic across the way. A shot from Mazzella. It's blocked down, and then sent back to the neighborhood of Stephen East. 55 seconds gone by on the Delaware power play. 2:14 to go in the second period. The Blue Hens lead Rhode Island 2-1. The Blue Hens slowly maneuver their way back to the Rhode Island side, and right by the right circle, Chris Mazzella and Kevin Felice looking to establish possession. Now 2 minutes to go in the period, and 45 on the power play. Cole Zucker backhands one right by De Silva. He might have got a piece of it, but it goes wide. Now right behind the Rhode Island cage, Cole Zucker feeds it back out to Mike Niski. Now Niski to the point with Jack Zimmer. Zimmer holding it across the way to Mazzella. Mazzella is chased down by Kyle McKenna, but Delaware comes out of there with it once again. It's Cole Zucker behind the cage to Mike Niski, right by the right circle. Niski lost it, and it is cleared down by Daniel Caruso with 14 seconds left on the Delaware power play. 1 minute and 20 left in the period. The Blue Hens quickly back into the Rhode Island zone, moving left to right here, right by the left circle. Delaware had it with Mazzella and then lost it. It's killed all the way back down, and that's it for the power play. Now 1:05 to go in this second period. We are back to even strength here. Delaware up 2-1. Greg right at center ice, the Blue Hens get possession and then chip and chase. Brian Ostrander had it. Rhode Island beats him to it. Here come the Rams. It's a potential 3-on-2. Into the Delaware zone, they work it. Into the middle, an opportunity by Luke Vendetto was spoiled by some strong defense by Devin Jenny, and then another shot by Joseph Gravina goes wide with 35 seconds to go in the period. A broken stick by Delaware's defenders, and right now Dustin Rabinowitz is playing without a stick here. 25 seconds to go in the period. Delaware cannot clear. A shot in from the point off the stick of Matt Kawash is blocked down, but Rhode Island still with it. A shot with 15 seconds to go from Vendetto is spoiled before it got to the cage. Back into the Rhode Island zone. Delaware comes 10 seconds in the period. The Blue Hens with it. Devin Jenny behind the Rhode Island cage. 4 seconds to play. Back over to the end boards, and that should do it for the second period. Rhode Island kills off the Delaware power play, and then while we were on even strength, Rhode Island with a very good chance of their own after Dustin Rabinowitz broke his stick, and that'll do it in the second period. The second period that has one goal on the score sheet. Jack Zimmer at the 5:17 mark of the period. After we were 1-1 entering the second period, we will be 2-1 in favor of Delaware entering the third period. Until then, down into the WVUD studio we go with producer Anthony Lemma, who is certain to give updates on the NFL playoffs, a look in the NBA, NHL, etc. Delaware leads it 2-1 after 2 periods. The Blue Hens looking to win their second straight game against Rhode Island. Back for the third period in about 15 minutes. Delaware leads Rhode Island 2-1 on 91.3 WVUD. All right, 7:05. That's when you can bring me back.